Here we are, it's Dean and Ann.
Hey, back again, Dean and Ann, and what are we doing today?
We are taking a look at the Oscar-winning movie now, Oppenheimer.
That's right, Oppenheimer. We finally watched it.
Yes, we're not like the good people who watch Oscar-nominated movies before the awards.
No. Maybe next year we'll be on top of the... No, of course not.
I don't... it's me. I'm really bad at watching stuff.
So we saw that it won Best Picture at the Oscars.
Yes, and then Cillian won, and so did Robert Downey.
Yeah. And we had this on the list of movies that we wanted to watch and review, but we kind of just bumped it up to the front of the line because it won. So we're like, let's get that,
Let's do it.
All right, so Christopher Nolan, director, right?
Yes.
And, I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan.
Yes, I mean, he rebooted Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, from the nipple suit to something that was actually worthy.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, not nipple suit was wonderful. Nipplegate. I don't know if you remember George.
Yeah, okay. I remember the nipple suits.
Okay.
And the cod pieces.
So Christopher Nolan has a vision, and
he saved us from the nipple suit.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yes, he did. He saved us from it.
What's some other movies that Christopher Nolan has done?
Inception.
Yes, Inception.
Dunkirk.
I love Dunkirk.
I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just an amazing movie. Incredible movie. So we like this, right? We just watched it. We finished watching it, and we both enjoyed it a lot. It never got boring.
No. It was long, but it wasn't boring long. They had a lot to tell.
Yeah.
There was a lot to cover.
So you mentioned a couple actors already.
I did. Cillian Murphy playing the title role.
Yeah.
Which he nailed it.
Killed it.
I thought, yeah. And I've looked at pictures of the real guy, and I'm like, wow, that was really good casting.
Now, I noticed something about him in this movie that I maybe hadn't seen him do in other movies, but he's also the lead character in Peaky Blinders, which is a Netflix show, and he had a lot of the same mannerisms in those two characters, and one of them is if he's helping someone go forward, like he kind of does this head bow and he's like telling them to go. Both Tommy Shelby and Robert Oppenheimer do that, and it's interesting. I'm like, I'm seeing Tommy Shelby.
Huh. I have not watched that show, even though I should, because my favorite Sam Neill is also in it.
Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, I know.
You love Sam Neill.
I love Sam Neill. I love him ever since I saw him in Jurassic Park when I was like 7. So I stick with what I know. We had our Emily Blunt as Kitty, his wife.
Did a great job.
She did. She went through a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Some other main characters: Matt Damon as General Leslie Groves, director of the Manhattan Project.
It's hard to take Damon serious sometimes, but he did a good job in this one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes he can be a little, over the top, I think. But yeah.
Okay.
He did a good job of this. Yeah.
I honestly, I was thinking, when was the last time I watched Matt Damon in a movie? I'm really bad at watching movies, so I apologize to all the actors that you've done stuff more recently.
Yeah, and you're not caught up on all the...
Yes.
Who else do we got?
Okay. Robert Downey Jr., Rear Admiral Louis
Strauss. Yeah.
Yes. The last thing I saw him in was Iron Man.
Yeah. All the Marvel movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he, as Iron Man. And so for me, this was a big...
big change. He looks very old.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was... I really enjoyed him in this more serious, vindictive...
Yeah, he's kind of a creep, kind of a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't...
And it's so good.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he was such a creep until the end, I guess.
Yeah, because he kind of comes off as a friend at first, but now he turns out not to be a friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
We have Florence Pugh as Jean Tatlock.
Who we just saw in Dune. She was in Dune.
She was in Dune.
Yeah.
Yes, it's working actors.
They're getting jobs.
It's amazing because I can only imagine how long these take. I mean, and how, I mean, 2 movies coming out around the same time.
Yeah.
When did they shoot these?
I don't
how
know.
did they find time?
On the weekend.
Jean was an interesting character. I was rooting for her.
Yeah. We didn't know very much about Oppenheimer before the movie, so we didn't really know what was going to happen. And I think that's, when you're looking at a biopic, I think it's better, you know?
Yes, I was very tempted to read the synopsis, but I didn't. I just looked up who people were so I could write down their character names so I could keep track. Sometimes I just need that help. Josh Hartnett.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This was it was a surprise to
You're
see
so
his name
happy.
on the cast. Well, I do feel like I'm getting old.
Okay.
And all these people from like my teens, from like teen movies, are now doing adult movies.
Yeah, and
It's just interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Hartnett was in the modern day telling of Othello called O. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Now I'm questioning. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Got
Let's
me
move
there.
on. We have Rami Malek, who...
Freddie Mercury.
Yes, Freddie
Yeah.
Mercury. Yeah, that was great to see him. Kenneth Branagh made an appearance as Niles Bohr.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Oldman, unrecognizable, as President Truman.
Yeah. And amazing as president. I mean, Gary Oldman's always amazing,
Yeah.
but that was really great.
I can't remember what character he played, but Josh Peck was in it. He used to be on the Disney Channel with Drake and Josh.
All right.
There were some fun surprises. Whenever you watch a movie with me, I'll be like, who is that? You need to pause so I
We
can
gotta
look up
stop.
who
Look
the
it up.
obscure character is who has 5 lines. And oh yes, they had 5 lines in another show that I watched 10 years ago.
Han Solo was in this movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the guy played Han Solo.
Yeah, the young Han Solo in the solo Star Wars solo story.
Yes. If you go on Wikipedia, the list for the actors is long. And there's a lot of people who...
Yeah. And they have sometimes really powerful actors have just bit parts.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 scenes.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh, he was very barely in it.
Yeah.
But he was great.
Yeah.
I have no complaints about any of the casting or performances. And David Krumholtz, who was, in the Santa Claus movies, and as well as 10 Things I Hate About You. So it was... that's when I stopped watching movies, I guess.
Oh. You're up to date on that one.
It's 20 years ago. Okay.
There's an actor from Bosch, one of the seasons that we love about Bosch.
Yes, season 1. I was very excited to be like, hey, wait, I know that guy.
I remember he worked at the golf.
Yes, he
place,
did. Yeah,
and he drove the golf thing, and they were hitting balls at him.
Yes. And I could just watching. I was like, I can picture him in my mind, kind of sniveling because he had some crying scenes on Bosch.
Yeah.
And so, thankfully, Dean paused so we could
look
it up because I wouldn't let it go.
Okay, so let's get away from the cast now a little bit and talk about the movie. And one of the things that I thought was really incredible about this movie is that when we're first in the first act, we're introduced to all the players, many of the players, including Oppenheimer. But we see Oppenheimer kind of in his youth. Not really. He's in the university. He's a graduate, but he's moved on to other studies. And you see these weird images of things that he's imagining. He's kind of in another world. This is where he's discovering quantum mechanics, and you see strings vibrating, and you see particles drifting all around, and he's in that world, and he's fascinated by the discoveries that he's helping build, and it's just a magical time for him. And then the movie gets away from that. They spend a lot of time doing. They keep going back to him having those sort of daydreams. Then they get away from it for a while, and that's when the sort of the second act is happening, where he's now on a mission to build the bomb. Yes. And he has to become more of a politician and more of a leader, as opposed to just be fascinated by the world. So those images go away. Mm-hmm. And then after the bomb is built and used, then the images come back, but it's dark and it's not fun. And he's thinking about explosions and dead bodies and
skin peeling off.
Yeah, it's just awful stuff. So it's really a powerful way to kind of describe what's happened to this character in the course of the movie, is that he basically lost his enthusiasm for what he was doing, and then comes to regret it later on. Well, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good news. Yeah. Nolan made a lot of good choices, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He had really good pacing. Scenes.
Yeah, nothing's boring.
No.
Yeah.
There's no slow, long walks down a hallway
Right.
or slow motion battles. I guess the only kind of like big moment was when they were practicing testing the bomb. I felt like that was a build up. I mean, it was so powerful that they had to build you up to it. Yeah. So that was the only.
Yeah.
There was no dull moments.
And he kind of mixed it up, like with there was color and there's black and white scenes, and it was a little confusing as to like, is this in the past? Is it in the future? Where's present day? So it was a little hard, and that's pretty typical of Chris Nolan, is that he's mixing the times up a little bit. And sometimes you think, wait a minute, when did this happen? Oh, that happened already, that kind of thing, or it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, it was, but it wasn't confusing too bad, I don't think. It was...
No.
Yeah.
It
was all right.
I mean, black and white was mostly when it was about straws, right?
I think so. Yeah. I'm trying to put that together, that maybe there was a Senate confirmation hearing, and that was all in black and white, and everything else was in color?
I think so. Anything I felt like whenever it was just about straws in his office or whatever,
you're right. Yeah.
Sometimes it wasn't always the hearing.
Yeah, it was in a kind of a waiting area. Yeah.
Maybe we need to watch it again.
Maybe. Yeah. It's a 3-hour runtime, folks. If you haven't seen it yet, hopefully you have seen it, and we're not spoiling anything for you, but there's a nuclear bomb, or an atomic bomb, I should say.
Yeah.
They're different.
And I guess this kind of goes with Oppenheimer imagining, like seeing vibrations and stuff, was him when he finds out Jean Tatlock has died. Yeah,
one of his girlfriends.
Yes.
She's dead.
She's dead, and he's seen it as a suicide, but also you see gloved hands, and there are theories that she had been murdered. There's mystery around her death.
Yeah. So we see him kind of visualize different possibilities about why that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that throughout the movie and other things. I'm trying to remember another instance of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was fun, seeing those little daydreams. Yeah. He does get lost in his own head sometimes, and people have to be like, hey, wake up,
Yes.
Okay. Well, anything else?
I think that's all of my thoughts about the movie. I knew about the Manhattan Project, but I didn't know a lot. So
I want to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn more. I did hear a story about that first test that they did. It's the first time anyone had ever seen a nuclear explosion or atomic explosion. And apparently there were some women camping near enough that they could see it and be affected by it. And so it was like they're just doing it out in the desert, and apparently anybody could have just been there, but now it's all roped off and everything.
Rope.
Back in the day they didn't really. There were some interesting scenes where they're sort of testing the explosives, and Matt Damon's character says, well, I hope we learned something from this.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
He's like, we need to be further back.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yes, that was funny.
It's a good movie. I like it.
Yes. Some might say there were not enough women, but it was very male-driven.
Yeah, that's the thing about the period pieces, right? Is that it's kind of always just like... unless we're going to focus on the family, then it's about the guy going out and doing his thing. That's always tough to give to a modern audience, I think.
I did some of my research. Killian, his character was a womanizer, right? Sleeping with people. Sure. And then I didn't realize Kitty had several husbands, not just one.
Oh,
she had
3. This was her third.
Yes, this was her third, and then there's also a partner listed on her. And so I thought that was interesting. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know, womanizer and manonizer.
And they found each other.
They found each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's our review.
Yes.
Of Oppenheimer. Thanks for watching. There'll be more coming in the near future.
Yeah.
Should we give some previews of what we're gonna do?
Okay.
Maybe some like Killers of the Flower Moon, right?
Yes, another Oscar-nominated movie. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And maybe Napoleon.
Napoleon, yes. I don't think that's brand new, so that'll be next year's Oscars.
Okay.
Right?
Well, we're going to get a jump on the Oscars.
I know. It doesn't have to be about the Oscars.
No.
Yes, I think those are the three you were most...
Yeah.
And we might make each other watch movies that are classics that the other has not seen.
Yeah. What are you going to make me watch? That's what I want to know. Stay tuned, folks. Like and subscribe. Put your comments below. Let us know.
How did you like Oppenheimer?
Yeah. All right.